Uganda. Ms. Ruth Nakabiwa Sentamu has been appointed as the Minister of Energy and Mineral Development since June 2021. Before being appointed as Minister of Energy, she served various cabinet-level positions within the Ugandan government, including Chief Government Whip from 2015 to 2021, State Minister of Fisheries from 2011 to 2015, State Minister of Microfinance from 2009 to 2011, State Minister of Defense from 2001 to 2009. Ms. Nakabira started her political career as part of the Ugandan Constituent Assembly in 1994. She holds a Bachelor's of Arts, a degree in Fine Arts, and a Master's of Arts in Conflict Studies from Makerere University in Uganda. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome the Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much for the introduction. You only forget to tell us that I'm a mother of 7 and that I'm married. That is very important because it encourages young girls to accept responsibilities. A mother of 7 who has been in politics since she left school. My colleagues, honorable ministers from Africa, honorable members of parliament present, your excellencies, the high commissioners and ambassadors, colleagues in the mining fraternity, the conference organizers, PayDat Media, Proprietary Limited, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon to you all. First of all, I want to appreciate the Ionic Rare Earth Company for the support towards this conference and for making sure that I this time round, attend the conference, and I'm happy to be here, all the way from Texas, New Zealand, Perth, and then I will be going via Kuala Lumpur, Turkey, Kigali, and then back to Uganda. But I'm grateful to be here, and I want to thank you so much. So I will be talking about Uganda's mineral potential for those of you who have not visited Uganda. I'll also talk about policy and legislation because it is critical. And I'll talk about the recent initiatives and developments in the Uganda's mineral sector. And we'll also have incentives, which I will highlight, and then I'll conclude, and I will be thanking you for your kind attention. So first of all, on Uganda's mineral potential, the Uganda's mineral potential include metallic minerals, industrial minerals, gemstones, and geothermal energy resources. The current known metallic mineral resources are beryllium, bismuth, copper, cobalt, columbite, tantalite, chromium, gold, iron, lead, lithium, manganese, platinum group of metals, rare earth elements, tin, uranium, wolfram, and zinc. And then the currently known industrial minerals include bentonite, clay, diatomite, dimension stones. These include granite, sandstones, and slates, feldspar, glass, sand, graphite, gypsum, kaolin, kyanite, marble, mica, phosphate, pozzolana, salt, talc, and vermiculite. The current known gemstones include apatite, beryl, emerald, aquamarine, heliodo, marganite, corundum, which includes the ruby and blue sapphire, fluorite, garnet, opal, quartz, topaz, and tourmaline, and zircon. There are 25 geothermal energy prospects associated with the western arm of East African Rift System, and are estimated at 1,500 megawatts. On the policy and legislation, we have very strong mining and minerals policy of 2018. We have the Mining and Minerals Act of 2022, the Mining and Minerals Licensing Regulations 2023, and the Mining and Minerals Certification Regulation of 2021. On the Mining and Minerals Policy of 2018, the policy goal is to develop the mining industry through increased investment, value addition, national participation, and revenue generation to contribute significantly to economic transformation and poverty reduction. Then on the mining licensing regulations of 2023, which have just come out, these are guidelines to operationalize the Mining Act of 2022. And they provide a conducive, transparent, and competitive investment climate in Uganda's mineral sector. Then on the Mining and Mineral Certification Regulations of 2021, these are aimed at implementation of the Pact on Security, Stability, and Development in the African Great Lakes region. The regulations are for prevention of illegal exploration and illicit trade in designated minerals. These are conflict minerals, like the tin, tungsten, tantalite, or call them the 3 Ts, and then gold. The new Mining and Minerals Act of 2022 provides that ownership of minerals is vested in the government, and this provision is enshrined in the 1995 Constitution of Uganda. There are also key aspects of the Act, which include the introduction of competitive bidding for brown fields and first come, first serve for the green fields. It also introduces a new mining licenses. New mining licenses, namely the artisanal mining license for investment capital, which is between 0 to 0.1 million US dollars. Artisanal mining category is very critical because if you don't give an affirmative action to the artisanals, then you are likely to have problems when big companies come to invest. So this act ring fences certain areas for the nations, the citizens, to engage in artisanal mining. And there are also requirements for them to be having a geologist in their association to help them on how to do the mining. So that is a very critical inclusion in the new law, which settled the conflicts that we were faced with. The second category are the small-scale mining license. The artisanal miners are free to upgrade to small scale. And these are the requirement for investment capital is from 0.1 to 5 million US dollars. Then the medium-scale mining license for investment capital of from 0.3 to 100 million US dollars. And then the large-scale mining license for investment capital of over 100 million US dollars. Introduction of mineral processing, mineral smelting, and mineral refining license. The law also talks about the separation of the licensing and regulation functions. For example, the new cadastral department grants licenses, while the mines department carries out inspection and monitoring license activities. The law also introduces a very heavy prohibitive penalties and fines for defaulters. It creates a national mining company to perform mining and minerals business on behalf of government. We've been hearing about the provision of a mining company on the petroleum side, where we have governments having their national oil companies that does business on behalf of government. So Uganda, under the new law, introduced an establishment of a national mining company. This company is the one which is supposed to deal with you investors when you come, and it will be representing the interest of government. There's also implementation of an online licensing system to enhance transparency and competition. You don't have to chase a commissioner in order to submit your application. You just go online and apply. The law also introduces mineral traceability and certification scheme to curb illicit mineral exploitation and trade. And lastly, it introduces mineral agreements for large-scale mineral investment projects. Mineral agreements between you, the investor, and government. So the types of licensing mineral rights. The new Mining and Minerals Act of 2022 provides the following mineral licenses. 1, the prospecting license, then the exploration license, then the retention license, the large-scale mining license, the medium-scale mining license, the small-scale mining license, the artisanal mining license, the mineral processing license, the mineral smelting license, the mineral refining license, the mineral dealer's license, and the goldsmith license. The Act also provides for export and import of movement permits. Exports, import, and movement permits. For example, those who have the exploration license, they always require to export samples, mainly to Australia. Export samples to Australia. And with mining, you try here, it's a large area that you are trying to find out what is underneath. So these permits that are granted, and it's not very difficult to get them. There are also royalties. The royalties imposed on the minerals are computed based on percentage and quantity. The percentage-based royalties, for example, 5% of gross value for precious metals and base metal, rare earth elements, and graphite. And then 10% of gross value for precious metals. The quantity-based royalties are 5.4 United States dollars per ton for vermiculite, limestone, kaolin, chalk, diatomite, gypsum, phosphates, dimensional stones like marble, granite, sandstones, and others. And then 0.54 USD per ton of pozzolana materials, and 1.35 USD per ton of salt. Other highlights from the Mining and Minerals Act of 2022 includes all mineral licenses or mineral rights are granted and revoked by the minister responsible for energy and mineral development. And because I am here, I have not signed your mining license for Ionic rare earth, and I know you're waiting, but it is ready. It is ready. It is the first thing I will do when I return. I started my journey. Like I explained, I started my journey to Texas where I had work to do, so I had to leave earlier than expected. I know we've been in a number of meetings, but just to assure you that everything is now done. Prepare your champagne. So the exercise of issuing licenses is now quickened, because of course you know that we ministers serve terms. Today you are in the ministry, tomorrow you don't know where you will be. Whereas the technical people sit permanently and pensionable. For the politicians, we always wish to implement the president's manifesto. So the exercise of licensing in Uganda is quicker with the new law. And so I call upon many companies to please come and partake of the benefits in this new law. So any party that is aggrieved by the minister or the minister's decision can seek for judicial review in the Ugandan High Courts. And a party who is not satisfied with Uganda's courts of law can appeal to the International Arbitration Courts. The mineral rights holder is required to comply with the National Environment Management Act of 2019. We have a very strong authority, NEMA, which can be a stumbling block because it is always a requirement, even as we develop our petroleum upstream. This is a requirement. The other one is that the landowner is to be adequately and fairly compensated for land surface disturbance during exploration and mining. Here, government comes in to work with you. We don't leave you to go and interface with the people. We use local governments, we use the ministry to go and sensitize the people, because if you don't do that, you end up using a lot of time. Sometimes politics sets in. Don't move away. That's little money. They tend to value what is under, yet what is under does not belong to them. What is under your land where you are seated belongs to government, according to the Constitution of Uganda. But sometimes politics comes in, and if you don't come in as a policy overseer, then the project delays. So that is also very important to note. The recent key initiatives and developments in Uganda's mineral sector, the mineral value addition. The government requires that minerals mined in Uganda should be processed and refined in Uganda into semi-finished or finished products before they are exported. In other words, there is a ban on exportation of raw materials from Uganda. And as I speak now, we've started seeing refineries being established in Uganda, including a tin refinery, which is going to be commissioned in October in Imbarara for the first time. And we are also seeing iron ore being smelted. So the ban is yielding results. But we also know that there are those minerals with the properties that do not allow them to do the final refining, and we shall produce regulations to guide what percentage of vermiculite, for example, that can be processed. Maybe 90, 93%, tin, and others. We will bring regulations to guide. And this is science. You cannot move away. There is a limit to refining. So, but as I speak now, there is that ban. We have produced geological maps at scales from 1 to 250,000, 1 to 100,000, and 1 to 50,000. We have acquired high-resolution airborne magnetic and radiometric data covering 100% of the country, as well as gravity and the transient electromagnetic data from selected mineral prospective areas. We have generated 18 new mineral potential targets from interpretation of the airborne geophysical and geological data for further detailed exploration and exploitation. The targets are for gold, iron ore, and platinum group of metals, rare earth elements, nickel, chromium, copper, cobalt, uranium, titanium, limestone, phosphate, vermiculite, diatomite, and bentonite. To ensure transparency, we've introduced online mineral licensing system, and we have introduced integrated geological mineral information system that hosts maps, geological data, geochemical data, etc. We have 6 gold refineries that can refine gold up to 99.9 purity. We have 6 cement factories, and more are being established. We have vermiculite mine, several gold mines, several iron ore mines, several 3Ts mines, and dimension stones in Uganda. And for incentives in mining sector, the Investment Code of 1991, implemented by Uganda Investment Authority in the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, streamlines procedures and guarantees protection of investors against appropriation. Foreign individuals and companies can own 100% of a business in Uganda, that is mining companies inclusive. And on taxation, the import taxes such as customs duty for all exploration and mining equipment is 0 rated. The mineral certification mechanism, Uganda is in the process of certifying tin, tungsten, and columbite, the 3 Ts, and gold minerals in compliance with the International Conference of Great Lakes Region. Certification is aimed at eradicating regional conflicts and maximizing prices of 3 Ts and gold. We have a number of Australian companies that are operating in Uganda. The Renzori Rare Metals Limited, with majority shareholder Ionic Rare Earth Limited, listed on the Australian Stock Exchange, is for exploration and mine development of rare earth elements in Makutu, Buwaya area in eastern Uganda, where over 500 million tons of indicated rare earth element resources have been discovered. Very good type, if not the best in the world. Then we have Nemakara Mining Company for development and mining of vermiculite in Manafa district in eastern Uganda. And these are affected by the act that I explained. But we are very soon solving the problem. And I visited them. They are grappling with concentrate vermiculite in their storage. And I want to assure them that the problem is almost solved. Then the Consolidated African Resources Limited for exploration and mine development for graphite in northern Uganda. We have the African Panther Resources Uganda Limited for exploration and mining development for tin in southwestern Uganda in Isinjiro. SIPA Exploration Limited, Uganda Limited, for exploration and mining development of cobalt, copper, gold, nickel, platinum, and group of metals. I want to conclude by saying that Uganda is richly endowed with both metallic and industrial mineral resources. The mining and minerals policy for Uganda of 2018 the Mineral Act of 2022 and the Mining and Minerals Licensing Regulations of 2023 offer a conducive mineral investment climate in Uganda. Government intends to develop the mineral resources in partnership with private sector in a sustainable and environmentally friendly manner. Together, we can develop the Uganda's mineral resources, and you are most welcome to the Pearl of Africa. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you, Honorable Minister, for that insightful share on the mining industry in Uganda. I was in Uganda about a month ago, and I was happy when I got there. I didn't have to apply for a visa. Our next speaker is the Managing Director of Ionic Earths Limited, Tim Harrison. Tim Harrison is the Managing Director of Ionic Rare Earths Limited. He joined Ionic in February 2020 in order to drive the development of the Makutu Rare Earths project. The company is now integrated into emerging Western supply chains through refining and recycling of the magnet rare earths. Tim is a metallurgist with 23 years of experience in the resources industry. And over the years, he's been involved in various roles, starting from the full cycle of the project development right to operations. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Tim to the stage.
Thank you very much. Honourable Minister, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I suppose I'm going to start with some thank yous. Thank you very much to the Minister for your kind words. We're very happy to hear the progress that's happening with the mining licence. And I'd also like to thank the rest of the delegation from Uganda that's been instrumental in helping us to get to this point over the last few days. And I also want to say thank you very much to the Australian Government for the help in positioning and supporting the process. Ionic Rare Earths is developing securing our elements for the new economy. So we're developing a rare earth mine in Uganda. We're looking at downstream value addition through refining to be able to separate a basket that's full of both magnet and heavy rare earths into those value-added rare earth oxides, which can be then deployed into the development of advanced manufacturing across applications in energy transition and military and defence. The other part of the business that we're working on quite a lot at the moment is the recycling arm. And through the recycling of rare earths, recycling of permanent magnets, taking that back to high purity oxides, we're able to start to penetrate the development of value addition through metal, alloy and magnet manufacturing, which ultimately Makutu will be a net beneficiary of. So the geopolitical tensions, I suppose, do take a front row with regards to the potential appeal of rare earths and a lot of dialogue now from Western governments around security of supply and the importance of these materials in the energy transition, but also the importance of these materials in key aspects of sovereign security, military and defence. Just going to touch upon the European Critical Raw Material Act of earlier this year and you know, the strong words from the European President. You know, the race is on. There is a finite amount of these materials that are available to be brought into the supply chain in a short space of time in order to meet some of these very ambitious goals that have been set by governments around energy transition. You know, one of the areas that has really been highlighted is magnet rare earths, and these have been recently classified as more strategic raw materials. And a lot of policy now is really being focused on decoupling the supply chain away from a very dominant position that China has. So looking at projects that provide an alternative supply of both heavy and magnet rare earths, like Makuutu, processing capability and value addition beyond the products that we'll make at Makuutu, which is a mixed rare earth carbonate product, but the ability to separate into the individual oxides, then turn into metals, alloys, magnets, and ultimately going into the EV, the wind turbine, these applications which are, driven by massive thematics globally. So the opportunity for a company like Ionic, there is a demand to decouple from those existing supply chains through building new capacity, new mines, new refineries. Recycling is also an area of tremendous growth potential. And so we're exposed to a number of these areas right now. If we look at the supply chain and the value addition that occurs in the rare earth space, mining is dominated by China, with a small amount of mining that occurs in rare earths in other jurisdictions globally. As we go in the value chain or further down the value chain, the progression of mineral concentrates to separated oxides, metals, alloys, magnets, increases the position and strength of the Chinese market, and control that the Chinese market has is amplified. So the further you go in the supply chain, the only real customer you have is China. What we're trying to do through Ionic Technologies is through bringing online a project like Makuutu, and then using our recycling technology, is providing access to those products that can help to stimulate the development of new metal capacity, alloy capacity, magnet capacity, which ultimately we can start to then produce the material from Makuutu with our supply chain partners. Just, I suppose, providing another bit of detail around what this looks like. We've got an arrow here showing several steps in the value addition from mineralisation in the ground to the final product. So a project like Makuutu, which is a large ionic adsorption clay, very unique project, producing magnet and heavy rare earths from simple processing, low capital development, to a value-added chemical intermediate product in a mixed rare earth carbonate, would then need to go to a refinery. And this is where some of the challenges exist in the existing supply chain. With the introduction of Ionic Technologies and our ability to take several different products from the value addition chain, from metal making, alloy making, magnet making, to the final components, we can start to recycle that material to high purity oxides, which enable us to then work with our partners on building this new capacity. Just now focusing a bit about Makuutu itself. So being based in Uganda, it is a flagship status within Uganda, and we very much appreciate the support that we've received from the Ugandan government and our stakeholders there. The project, or the first stage of the project, indicated a DFS with a 35-year life. Now, Makuutu is a very, very large system. It stretches approximately 37 kilometres long end to end across 6 tenements. And under the Mining Act, we apply for each mining licence upon the natural progression of an exploration licence to a retention licence, resources and individual feasibility studies. And so over the course of a number of years, we will progress the remaining 5 tenements that we have towards individual mining licences. But in essence, Makuutu starts with this first stage. It'll be a modular project with a low capital development that can bring new capacity on to marry up with the demands of our supply chain partners across the US, Europe, Japan and Korea. So it is a project that will enable and empower the development of EVs, offshore wind capacity, and a number of other advanced manufacturing applications. I mentioned there the capital development of $121 million. So for the development of a rare earth project, it is quite a modest investment relative to the significant capital investment required for hard rock projects, which typically only provide a small amount of magnet rare earths relative to the product that would come out of a Makuutu project. The infrastructure and the location of the project is very fortunate. We are 120 kilometres east of Kampala, in eastern Uganda, extremely well serviced by existing infrastructure. So we've got 132 kV hydroelectric power being exported immediately through our tenements, road, rail, immediately accessible to the project area. And that's affording us the ability to look at a very fast development of this project once we move through the necessary steps, committing our product to the supply chain, and ultimately reaching a final investment decision. I mentioned before the scale of the mineralised system. So the image up on the presentation there shows the mineralisation system stretches 37 kilometres long end to end. And to put some context, that is larger than the island of Manhattan, so it's a very big system. The mineralisation stretches across a sedimentary basin where we've defined already a very large resource, and beyond that, a significant exploration target. Talking about that exploration target, we recently put out some drill results on our eastern tenement, which continues to define a growing presence of additional ionic adsorption clay mineralisation, where we continue to drill. I think the recent results, we had 43 of 45 holes coming back, providing us with mineralisation above the resource cut-off grade. That aligns extremely well with the drilling we did in 2021. And so based upon that data and information we're expecting shortly on drilling that we've done on a new northwestern tenement, we will be in a position, hopefully soon, to be able to update that exploration target. One of the key differentiators and the things that make Makuutu unique is the basket. It is rich in both magnet and heavy rare earths. And so if we look at the demand that is emerging and very vocally being talked about in key markets in Europe and the US, it only gets brought online by access to heavy rare earths. And so a basket like Makuutu's, which is rich in 45% heavy rare earths, but importantly the magnet rare earths, which make up about 85% of the value of the basket, differentiates this as a different product to a lot of the hard rock projects that are looking at trying to get into development shortly. Complemented by the low capital, there is a lot of appetite for this project and this product into these emerging supply chains. Right now we are building a demonstration plant at Makuutu. The requirement there is essentially around producing product that we need to make for our supply chain, potential supply chain partners. It will also provide us with additional information which will help us think about the ways in which we could potentially revise the economics of this project through potential different ways in which we operate the heap leach. So the ability to stack the material higher, the ability to improve metallurgical extractions, all defined by much larger, more expansive test work, demonstrated at scale and producing product that we can then further characterise. So as we talk now, we continue to build the foundations. We've got a technical facility that will be built there as part of the first stage of the project, which will house these 6-metre heap leach columns and cribs, which then feeds the second phase of the demonstration plant, which will then look at these larger heap leach modules, which produces significant amounts of material for some customers or clients that we're working with, supply chain partners that we're working with now. From an ESG perspective, over the course of the last 4 years, we've done a tremendous amount of work in engaging and making sure we position the project properly within Uganda. We have completed an initial assessment from Digby, and we're getting ready for our 12-month refresh on that. We've completed our environmental and social permits. We got that approved in October last year. Given the ability to use hydroelectric power, it positions the project with a low carbon footprint. The ways in which we're looking at the development of the project and then the rehabilitation of mined areas and repurposing that back to new industry, whether that be agroforestry or optimised farming, aligns with the National Development Plan. So we've looked at the strategy for this project to make sure it aligns with the ambitions that the Ugandan government has put in place. And a tremendous amount of community and stakeholder engagement that's been done over the course of the last few years, which, through the middle of COVID, we were able to continue to work with the support of the Ugandan government. And through that process, we did actively engage more with the community to try and make sure that we could optimise the ways in which we would work, but also minimise the impact that we would have on the local community. Importantly, we have been working through our land access agreements. So we've secured our site for the demonstration plant through that process. And we continue to work through this now for the area for the mining licence. If we look at the next steps that we're working through as a business at Makuutu, with the award of the mining lease, we can now move forward with our plans to bring Makuutu into production. So tremendously happy on the progress that we've been able to make over the last few days here in Perth. We've been working through our resettlement action plan. We've built capacity in Uganda. We have a team of about 80 working on the development of the project, the community and social programs, and now the demonstration plant. In addition to that, we're drilling. So there is a lot of work going on across the tenements and a huge amount of community engagement to support that work. With the drilling that we're completing now, that will then position the company to look at the next mining licence, which will apply to the west. And that supports the potential to grow this project out along that 37-kilometre long mineralisation trend with several modules that can come online with new capacity to work with our supply chain partners. With the demonstration plant, we're expecting the ability to then fold that information back into an updated study outlining the economics and the overall execution of the project. And now with the mining licence and hopefully a few other things very shortly, we'll be able to start to look at where we're going to potentially commit our project and our product into the supply chain. Now, I just want to quickly cover off briefly on Ionic Technologies. I mentioned it before with the recycling. It is a very unique opportunity in that, supported by the R&D that we've done or we've acquired through Queen's University Belfast, we've got a very unique opportunity here with a technology that's significantly more advanced and further developed than a lot of other potential movers in this recycling space. The opportunity here is to take the end-of-life materials and these waste products made in the production of magnets, take that back to the elemental form to then be able to provide this material to metal makers, producing a very, very high quality and specification oxide product to work with the supply chain on the development of new magnets, recycled magnets, and the circular economy of rare earth magnets. So it is a very, very compelling opportunity and an area that is quickly escalating with appetite coming in thick and fast. Last year we were awarded a grant from the UK government to help us build a demonstration plant. That demonstration plant is now in operation. We are producing magnet rare earths now, magnet rare earth oxides. And through that production, we are able to progress the relationships now with metal, alloy and magnet makers. So it's a very exciting opportunity. And with this new facility that we've built in Belfast, We'll be having an opening event next week in Belfast. And, it's a hugely exciting opportunity for the business to move forward into this new space. The technology itself, it's a hydrometallurgical process whereby we crush the magnets, we grind the magnets, we digest them, we're able to separate out the iron, the boron, the base metals away from the rare earths, which we can then separate and purify to high quality rare earth oxides, and then that can be redeployed back into new magnets. Importantly, this is a technology that is agnostic on the magnet quality. It is agnostic on the feed quality, which is a very unique, distinguishing point of difference with other technologies which are unable to do the same. Our ability to continue to make high purity product is something that has meant that we've had very strong engagement from existing supply chain participants and value addition that are in operation today that would previously not have looked at recycled materials, but because of the purity that we can provide, we've opened up a new opportunity for them. Touched on this slide earlier, but I really want to just, I suppose, further sort of communicate the importance of the Ionic technologies in our ability to start to open up new capacity on metal making and magnet making. So if we look at the pie charts at the bottom, China, 91% of the metal making capacity in the rare earth space. Through the technology, through this Ionic technologies, the aim and the ambition is to start to grow that capacity on, Japan, Europe, and the rest of the world. So, we've got 9% of capacity. The intention through the technology is to start to open up new capacity through transparent, secure supplies of this material, which ultimately then creates an environment where the development of Makuutu now has a natural home. Just a few photos. It's a very simple process. We built that demonstration plant in around 9 months. So from the award of the grant to the commissioning and production of first oxides was about 9 months. So it's a very straightforward process, off-the-shelf equipment. And so as we look at the projection for the next 12 months and our desire to produce a significant amount of oxides, we can then take that material and convert that into metals and alloys and be able to progress some of these relationships. Just covering off on, I suppose, the history of the company. If we look back to the acquisition of the initial 20% of the Makuutu project in 2019, through 2020, 21, 22, the company has progressively worked through this de-risking process to increase the information and the confidence around the project, and through that process, increase the ownership. So we now own 60% of the Makuutu project. We've got a large resource, we've got a DFS, we've now, very shortly, got a mining license. So we're progressively working through this to get Makuutu to the position where we can develop this asset and get this product into an alternative, secure, stable supply chain. Very, very quickly, I'm just going to cover off on the capital structure of the business and where we are. We've gone through this phase of doing work and putting studies out, and now with a mining license and some other catalysts that we hope to have very shortly, we do look at the next phase of the company being very exciting as we start to take this product, take this project, this opportunity forward towards commercial operations. So I'll just leave you now with the value proposition. We have got direct exposure to the rare earth market story. We are a producer of magnet rare earth oxides now. Very, very short list of companies that have that capability, and a tremendous outcome for the business over the last 12 months. Through Ionic Technologies, we can provide access now to the circular economy of magnet rare earths, which is hugely attractive for some companies in advanced manufacturing space, especially in markets like Europe, where the demand is for 15% of this material to come from recycling by the end of the decade. So with the technology that's ahead of the curve, that is maturing at a rate that's much faster than anything else in the space. Ionic Technologies is really poised to really be a key participant in that market opportunity, certainly in Europe, but the ability to modularise and roll this out across markets in the US, Korea, Japan, and other parts of the world that want advanced manufacturing is hugely exciting. Makuutu itself is a very, very large system. It is a development-ready ionic adsorption clay. If you want a development-ready product now, it is a very, very short list, and it's an even shorter list when you look at products like this that are not committed to the Chinese supply chain. So if we look at the demand that is talked about, coming online in 2025, 2026, it is driven by, and a key aspect of it is going to come from a project like Makuutu. So it is a strategically sensitive project to markets that are going to emerge in Europe and the US. Low capital development means that we can get this project into production with, I think, probably less challenges than some of the very capital intensive hard rock projects that are looking at development now. From a geopolitical tensions point, there is a demand that's emerging for secure, stable, traceable supply. And again, this is an opportunity for Ionic Technologies to be able to penetrate and help to develop that market. And beyond that, we continue to evaluate the opportunity at unlocking the value of the basket through a purpose-built facility that would potentially come online once we've scaled up Makuutu substantially. So, we do see a lot of opportunity within ionic rare earths, given the exposure to that thematic around energy transition. But from a geopolitical perspective, sovereign security is a key opportunity also for a project like Makuutu. So thank you very much.